Little walk around the sectors and indices today. Financials right here called the S&P banking not performing. So that's a laggard on the rally. Key BW banking not performing. Okay, a little bit of drag on the rally. Probably has something to do with Greece. Hold on one second. The key BW banking is not performing. Now, one of the things that we will take a look at is the Dow Jones transports, because we've got that oil trade coming down and people are liking these transports now. And it will take a sustainable rally in these transports with lower gasoline. We said the oil would come down to $85 a barrel when it was at its peak. Of course, it was hard for people to digest that, but that's what makes the transports good. So you got that leading there. And I would imagine if we looked in the airlines today that we have all green there, okay, because that oil is going to come down lower. The only thing at a certain point in time, if Ben Bernanke has to do a QE3, we will go to hyperinflation, and we will not enjoy long-term sustainability as far as lower costs to fueling our cars and our homes and the things that we need, if he does that. And the thing about it is, the airlines stocks are performing. They're good little trades in here. So we know where that buying is. Let's go to the Morgan Stanley retail. And once again, that lower oil is these people come back in here, and there's some good trades in this retail sectors on certain different days. Why is it all green? Because of that lower oil. So that means that the consumer, instead of putting it in the gas tank, can run over to Best Buy or Abercrombie and Fitch and buy some items. The consumer, Morgan Stanley consumer, is picking up real nice. I got McDonald's in here, you know, consumer type things. KMB is in there. You got Wal-Mart in here, and it's all green. Okay. The cyclical, again, here are your cyclical right in here. FCX is in here. It's down today. But there are certain ones in here that are good. And I can see right here that Caterpillar has been leading the way. CSX is good. Deere is good. And we'll talk off tape more about what this sector really means as far as forward-looking goes and all its earnings and whatnot. One of the things that we want to look at here is in the casino area. There is one in here that we trade called Win. And, you know, we were shorting this thing way up at the highs. It's coming down, but you got a little buying going on in there. The healthcare is an important one today. Let's take a look at the Morgan Stanley Healthcare Index. All green today. So they went back into this area and been doing some of their buying. But you got to realize that it's all on very light volume, my friends. Very important to know that. Let's take a look at your gold and silver. You have a little bit of an uptick in here across the board. The Morgan Stanley commodity related names are catching a bid again. And once again, you have to be careful of this group because we'll talk about that off tape, okay? But that they're coming in there. So let's go down to some of the technology areas. Let's take a look at the interactive week internet index. You finally caught a bid. And remember how we said in our analysis and our training over the weekend, plus it's on stockmarketfunding.com, that we were due for a short term because we're oversold. Okay? And we are oversold in a lot of names. The one that I know that is the most oversold is Google. Okay? But we're catching a bid. Morgan Stanley Technology. Once again, technology being part of the greater weakness over the last 7 weeks, catching a bid. Okay? Let's take a look at the GSTI composite. Kind of a mixed bag in here, but for the most part, we got lots of green here. And they're catching a bid. These kinds of names in this one. Let's take a look at the CBOE Technology Index. And in here, they're catching a bid. Okay? So we are catching a bid across the board. It's not as strong as some of the other ones. That means that people are still a little bit gun-shy. Okay? Semiconductor, Philadelphia semiconductors, which are always weak this time of year, seasonality, but they're catching a bid too. And financials are not. And it's important to know that these light volume rallies from short-term oversold markets have a way of doing things. The S&P 500 right here is catching a real good bid. Okay? And the S&P is at 1278, and short-term oversold on the S&P. We did a lot of work on the S&P over the weekend and the charts. Remember shorting the S&P up there at 1370. We called that correction. It's on stockmarketfunding.com homepage. Shows you how much we know before the move. And just like Leo said, everybody wants to short the market after it goes down 7 weeks. Well, they should have been shorting it 7 weeks ago when we said the correction was there. And we've had week after week after week after week decline, which is bringing us into this large cap S&P 100 right here, which is, once again, another culprit, MMTs, that's catching a bid. Okay? Let's go to the S&P mid-cap 400, and we're catching a little bid in here. And if the administration in the U.S. ever look at it, it's catching a bid across the board. S&P small cap 600. Small cap is catching a bid. Small cap is a very good place to find the leaders in here, as we know which ones they are. And if we ever do anything right in the U.S. and we become proactive for businesses, small cap will lead the way. And just like transports, you want to see the small cap and mid cap doing good. The large cap is a different story. I'm going to go into the fertilizers. These are your ag stocks now, MMTs. And you got Mosaic over here. They're all catching that gap open. These are the trading ranges. That CF is one that we trade every day as a listed stock. Write it on your list. Potash and MOS. Those are the ones in there, MMTs. Restaurant stocks, oh, we have green across the board. They are not as overbought as they once were. However, once again, with lower, look at, you still have high employment, so what? People can drive cheaper to work, and they can always stop off here instead of paying it in the gas tank. They can stop off here at McDonald's and get them a Big Mac. And we'll be taking a good look at this sector, okay? The Deutsche Bank Energy is a mixed bag, though, you see. Because with oil coming down and things in here, you have a little bit of a mixed bag. There's some good leaders in here that we like as we settle that whole oil and gasoline trade and other kinds of things that are related to here. Let's take a look in the natural gas component. Same over here, a little bit of distribution. They're not leading the way now. They did lead the rallies before. Oil services. Here's your oil services. But they're not the leader either. It's a mixed bag. But as we clear out of this oil trade over the next 4 weeks, we'll find out where these true bottoms are going to be. And there'll be some good buys in here too now. What else would be importance to you? I just want to let you see the Amex oil, which is XOI.X, and there's a little mixed bag here, not leading the way either, okay? So we've gone through quite a few of them here. One thing that we need to take a look at is, let's see where the software is. Software, things like Adobe, Autodesk is in here, BMC software, Microsoft, okay? They're catching a little bit of a bid. NA means they're, either they're no longer on the exchange. So we can see that across the board that we're catching a bid. Telecommunications. Let's take a look at the North American Telecom Index. Catching a little bit of a bid. And the Nasdaq Telecom in its entirety is a mixed bag, but you're catching some bids in here too now. Okay? Along with this oversold market, short-term oversold, they come up, then they'll have to roll back over. There is no evidence of a bottom in these markets yet. Nothing that meets our criteria. They're just tradable. Forest and paper products. Let's just get an idea. Once again, they're catching a bid here in some of these. And so let's go up here to the Nasdaq 100, which is important. Nasdaq 100. This is all 100 stocks, the top 100 stocks, just like they have a S&P 500. Well, this is near Nasdaq 100. And you're catching a bid across the board because it's short-term oversold, and some of the leaders in here are short-term oversold. That Joy Global doing quite well. Nasdaq banking, that's all of the Nasdaq banking related stocks. Let's just kind of go through here. I see a really mixed picture here. Once again, the Nasdaq banking isn't leading the way. And Nasdaq financials 100. So when you get into the 100 stocks and financials in the Nasdaq, that's the IXF.X, is we can see here that it's not all that doom and gloom in these kind of financials. There's different kinds of financials. There's large cap, there's community banks, and there's different kinds of things that are different ones. But we are catching a bid in there, and that's what's given that Nasdaq a great support today. And that's why they're holding their gains. Nasdaq Transport now. That's the Tranx, TRANX. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq Transport across the board. I can see there that we've got more buying. Once again, that oil trade helps these stocks in here. As far as what we have here, we have range today on the comp is $28. Total range on the Dow today, whether it's been up and down combined, is 128 points. The SPX range is 12.86. So we can see what some of these and the net changes to some of these are right here in your key indexes. Here's that SPX.X right here. That's 1278. So we know by taking a look around what's going on as far as the indices go. One of the things I haven't looked at, which is important, is take a look at where the insurance stocks are. Okay? And with all the turmoil around the U.S. and all the fires and all, just a mess. That's how, but we're catching a nice bid. Okay? So we'll conclude here. We've seen everything that's really important. The only thing is I want to see what the global auto parts suppliers are doing. These are the people. One that we like in here is Johnson Controls, JCI. Write it down. Okay, because we do. And there are a couple of others that we'll talk about off the tape. Okay, in that area. Your global auto manufacturers, once again, it's a mixed bag. They're not going to do much of anything yet. Morgan Stanley Biotech Index, catching a little bit of a bid. Here's all the biotech on the Nasdaq, and that's where you're getting some good leadership and getting some good bids in this biotech arena, and that's what's fueling from an oversold condition today with some broad-based buying because people think there's going to be a resolution. And we're due for that dead cat bounce, and we can see that the Nasdaq is biotech is helping us. The drug index, though, is also got a nice little tone to it, and pharmaceuticals, they too have a nice little ring to them. And the Dow Jones composites, I forgot that I will throw the Dow Jones Industrial Averages, the DJI. It's there. You can see the names. J&J is in here. IBM, on the other hand, is trying to catch a bid lately. So that's where the industrial averages are. And the actual Dow Jones Composite itself is catching a bid. And these stocks have a dividend yields, and big money keeps going into a lot of the same names that you've seen over the last several weeks here. And we're catching a bid. That will conclude today, which is 6/20 of 2011 at 12:09, going into the last hour of trade, as to how that these indexes, and once again the broader based part of where these rallies are from their current oversold conditions that have bounces when you're oversold short term.